Okay, here we go. So in this time period, we're looking at the modesty, we're looking at the receptive. Okay, we'll just go back to we'll look at this receptive, the lines in it for a minute. Just see what's being said in the receptive. No, it's not this one. That's a fall one. It's in this one. We'll go down to the receptive. Okay, so for the receptive, just falling through the. Okay, actually, I've drawn this out a little bit better, going down where we've got the individual hexagrams. Then I've highlighted where the aspects are, and I've marked in the subpentans. But really, there's a hexagram for every line of a hexagram. Like at this level, there's a hexagram for every 2 months and a line for 2 months. So I'm going to take a 2-month period, that 2 months coming to India and going into the room, that period down. Well, it goes went into Virgo in September 67. This was having left my travels. I'm back in Montreal working to try and get rid of, get some money to try and go to Europe. Or to get to India, to England, try and find this teacher. I got to England, there was no teacher there. I couldn't get to anyone, so I worked delivering handbills and I couldn't make any money, and not very much. And I thought I didn't want to get stuck on an island I couldn't make enough money to get off of. So I left England with about $200. And by the time I got to 2 or 3 weeks later, by the time I got to Istanbul, I had about $40 left. But I went from Istanbul, and over the next 2 weeks, I got to India with 50 cents in my pocket. And that's how I got by, like in traveling around the world. But then I went into the room. But in this last period, I ran into some dangerous things. So it went through deliverance, arousing out of the abyss was getting away from North America. And then dispersion, disillusion was taking the ship and getting out of North America and going to England and traveling. But when I got to this phase, January 8th, 68, it went into the hexagram of the abyss. So, it's in, let's see what line, it's in line 3, and it's in there, it's line 3 of the receptive. So I'm just gonna look at the line 3. I know it seems like I'm jumping around, but I'm really following one theme within the theme. Usually, if you're going to study this, you spend a few weeks just on one degree, on one point in your chart. This is where I am now. This is what's going on now. You back up, you do the finest detailed one for the 2 weeks or the 2 months you're in, and then you back up, and then you see the year, then you see the 6th year it fits in. We're coming the other way, and we're looking at it in a kind of social functional way. So this is in the 4th place. We're in line 4. No, we're in line 3. We need not 4. Okay. Line 3, lost in thought, action is impaired. This is one does not recognize what is appropriate, one is influenced by the unworthy. Humiliation will not be far behind. I had no money. I'm traveling across Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, the Muslim countries. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has troubles. Do not get lost in negativity or doubt. If criticism is expressed, one will be isolated. There's not enough for everyone. One has what one has, one will share. There's so much to do. One feels inadequate, but what one do? I went across Turkey with no money. But occasionally somebody would be eating in the train. They'd share something with me. They say they didn't have it. They'd give me something. And just things went by, and I got through that way. But this theme of feeling isolated and overcoming negative or doubt, really doubting myself. I don't know if I don't belong here. That was really, I wanted the wave of that going into India. Okay, so now, while that was going on, inside of that, fighting the doubt, the hexagram, the abysmal, dangerous water came in. And this is the whole period. Let's see, where are we here? The 30, from May 68. So this is from July 68. This is coming just after I came out of the room. No, it's before that. It's going from, the abyss is going from September 67. After I've come out of I went back into the room for the last time when I had all the visions. That was deliverance. And it came as thunder. It was that hexagram is thunder out of the above the depth. It really was living that symbol of waking up. I didn't sleep for 50 days, but then those 2 months came over. But at the end of that, I was immediately back in North America. And so that was Hexagram dispersion dissolution. I was traveling again. But when it went into the abyss, it started January 8th, 68. I entered India on the January 14th. So the travels on the bus through Turkey. Why? Okay, well, I'll talk about them, and then we'll try and put them in context to this lines of these hexagrams. I'm just trying to work it in where you can see the lines of the hexagrams. But when I got to Turkey, I had only $40 left. I probably think by the time I was thinking of leaving, I was there for about a week at Istanbul, but I only had about $30 left. Well, the adult fare to take the bus across Turkey was $40, and I had 30. The student fare was $20. I bought a student ticket. I got on the train. Halfway across Turkey, by the time we're almost in Ankara, they come to collect the tickets. So the guy comes, like I say, I give him the ticket. He sees my passport. He's looking at my passport. I had the beard here, looked like a student. But anyways, he looks at the passport and doesn't see student saying anywhere. He says, "No studente." He hands it back to me. I take the passport, hand it back to him, and says, "Studente." I said, "Are you crazy? A studente." And he looks through it again, doesn't see it say anywhere. Passes by, says, "No studente." I hand it back to him, says, "Studente." He walks away. He comes back with 2 guards with guns, pointed at me. The second time in my life this happened. And the gunsman says, "No studente." And I take the passport and I look at him and I go, "Studente." And the guards believed me. And I think maybe he backed down and was being nice or something. But in any case, they backed off. They took the student fare and they didn't bother me, and I got across Turkey. So there was still a bit of a Pluto, the Sun Pluto square was still there. There's still some challenges coming up around that I managed to get through. This was through this abyss. Then I get through that, I get to Turkey. The $10 I had left, it took me almost $9 or $8 to get to the border. And then the taxi to the border was like, it was like 20 or 30 below zero. And I was just sitting in the back of a truck with a bunch of other people outside to get to the border. Get to the border, we got on the bus. After waiting a few hours, we got on the bus going into Iran and up through the mountains near Mount Ararat and into Iran. A lot of adventures through difficulties through there, but in the end, I get down to Pakistan. I had just enough money to get somehow. I don't know how. I tried. I had a bond that I thought a $50 bond. I thought I could cash in when I got to Iran. And I went to American Express and they said it's not cashable except I bought a bond, but it wasn't cashable inside the country, so it was useless. So I ended up with no money, but I managed to get $10 sent to me somehow. I'm not sure how I got it, but anyways, I got on the bus and got down through the desert of Iran and down to the bottom of Pakistan. I had just enough money to take the train across Pakistan. So taking the train across Pakistan, that was the last day as I'm going across getting to the border of Lahore and India. I felt as if someone stole my coat and my winter boots. But it's interesting because it was the end of the coldest spell, and where I was going, it was not so cold in India at that time. It was cold in Pakistan, it wasn't so cold in India. So in a way I didn't need it, but it had been stolen from me in the train as I'm coming to India. Then I got into India and these people came to the border. They were trying to pick up people and just drive them places. They were just up to no good, but they were going to send me into a really dangerous military area where I might have got shot or something. And someone came and said, "Come with me." And I walked with them and I met then I ran. Then I was into the wing of the people who were doing the meditation, who spent time alone. And this man took me under his wing. And from then on, I was pretty well taken care of spiritually in India. So this was the spirit. And he was the one who's just come out of spending almost a year in this time alone. And he told me about it. And he arranged for me to go in and he set me on this path to start with. So, okay, we're in the all this is going on. And I spent the first 10 days in this room. I've been alone before on a mountaintop by the ocean. I've been lots of places, but never been alone, like in a jail or something like that. So this was different, the solitary. And so in trying that, I knew, in the end, I knew I had to go further because it cleaned out my psyche in a way. So here's the theme. This is on the sub level, Virgo. The abyss above and the abyss below, water above and water below, critical without and critical within. Danger of too much analysis without a change of attitude. It will be difficult to find good helpers. One will feel obliged to do everything oneself. Well, the danger, the difficulty without critical in, certainly that's there. My mind was fighting that. Do I go alone and be doing that? But even before that, going in the last bit of traveling, there was critical run-ins outside and inside. The image, health and hygiene, danger upon danger, discrimination over the corners of the mouth, what you eat and what you say. Great care is needed over what goes in and what comes out of the mouth. I had no money, I wasn't eating anything. Too much negativity can destroy. To be sparing of words is helpful. If you don't have something to say, good to say, don't say it. Concentrate on self-improvement. Danger can be diminished by not empowering it. Rooting will increase danger. Good food, good drink, simple exercise, or nothing. Set an example. Cleanliness is close to divine. Well, for me, I had no money. I was really in a dangerous situation in countries where I had no money. Sooner or later, it would catch up to me. I would be a drain on the societies around there. But I kept traveling, so it never really caught up to me like that. The judgment, difficulties within, difficulties without. Powerful position with limited resources. Strong motivation, weak application. Power in one's inner depth accompanied by a lack of self-discipline. Yeah, I had inner experiences, but I really didn't have any outer disciplines. A position of authority with moderate support. If one does not keep busy, there will be trouble. If one does not keep others busy, there will be trouble. So much to do, so little time. This is this hexagram of the abyss. The last part, darkness increases and so does responsibility. So many people, so much to do. One cannot be perfect for everyone. It's enough to do the best that one can and fix what needs to be fixed. Well, I felt my head was messed up and I had to fix my heart. Do not make promises, do not voice criticism, strive to improve your techniques. Do not rely on others, do the job yourself. One can be crippled by criticism within and without. Silence is a golden. Actions speak louder than words. Well, really, when the guy told me about this being alone, and to be alone, before you can learn anything spiritual, you have to unlearn everything you think you know. And being alone, the thoughts that come up in your mind, that's your karma. How do you change those thoughts that come into your imagination when you're alone? That's your karma. So the chanting and being alone brings up your karma and forces you to get beyond it. So really, as soon as I heard this, well, I never tried. Well, I'm not happy I haven't solved it. Maybe this would work. I was willing to try it. So it really was a Virgo phase. But what I want to get to is lines. Whenever I've gone down to the level of the individual lines, which seems like we're stretching it by going in, but really there's relevance and meaning at each level as we're going in. When we get down to the individual lines, now it started 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I got to go backwards through these ones.